Happy Reggae Month 2025. This is JaRIA's Reggae Open University, and we're here with a wonderful panel of guests. We're going to be discussing a very serious topic, something that is very crucial and may not be even taken seriously by too many, but it's a very important topic: mental health in the spotlight. Now, mental health is not something that is taken lightly, but also I think it's not taken seriously enough, and I think this panel will show exactly how important your mental health is to existing in the spotlight, being successful in the spotlight, and even outside of the spotlight. Who knows, based on the discussion. So I want to start with my wonderful panel. Straight ahead of me, we have Mr. Michael Holgate, with over 20 years in theater, dance, music, film, and writing. He's the Director of Events and Creative Arts Management and the head of the Philip Sherlock Center for the Creative Arts at the University of the West Indies. He's also Artistic Director of the Ashe Company. In 2024, he's a resident judge on TVJ's All Together Sing. He's the author of the recently completed PhD in Cultural Studies from the University of the West Indies. Mr. Michael Holgate, welcome, sir.
Thank you, thank you.
We have to him someone who's a little infamous, but nonetheless very famous. Tanya Stevens, a career spanning more than 3 decades, internationally acclaimed dancehall reggae artist. She's managed to create an enviable music legacy. Her prolific songwriting skills, coupled with her rich tone and straight-talking personality, has transported her into a realm of music royalty, a feat not achieved by many. Welcome, Ms. Tanya Stevens. Dr. Lakim Simaj, distinguished psychologist, author, speaker, social philosopher, and management consultant with over 4 decades of expertise in personal and organizational transformation. He holds a PhD in psychology and was awarded Cornell University's Distinguished Lecturer Award for his outstanding contributions to teaching and research. His career spans diverse industries, including energy, telecommunications, finance, and health. Welcome, Dr. Simaj. And to my immediate right, Trishan Horton. Trishan is an internationally certified integrative yoga therapist. She studied psychology and youth development, and she offers yoga therapy to a broad spectrum of clients, ages from as little as 7 to as old as 80. Mother to a loved fireball, Trishan loves being a student and a good live show giver. Thank you very much, Trishan. Welcome, all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. So we're talking about mental health, specifically in the spotlight. And we're going to let's start off talking about coping with performance anxiety. Now, I'd like to start with Tanya. Performance anxiety, is that something that you have faced, and how have you gotten over it?
Well, I think everybody who goes into the spotlight faces that. I started off with a lot of anxiety. I started off being very nervous every time I had to face an audience. That only went away with practice and acceptance. So the more popular songs I got, the more I heard people singing them in front of me, the more I grew in my career, then the less of it I got until it went away. And now it's like second nature.
Do you still get nervous?
No, I don't get nervous anymore at all. I can't remember when last I actually got nervous for going on stage. In fact, I get more comfortable the closer I get to the stage. I'm nervous outside of the stage. It is the behind the scenes that makes me more nervous than anything else.
Really?
The environment around music. Because the music itself is pure. Mm-hmm. It does nothing to any of us. But the environment around it and the kind of energy it sometimes attracts because of the spotlight, that made me nervous. So the stage, I'm fine.
Off stage, still dealing with a little.
Yeah, I kind of keep myself.
Okay. Michael.
Okay, so I'm talking from music, dance, drama. I'm terrified of the stage. Terrified. You can't get me to go on stage anymore. I can counsel and coach and push people on stage. I'm the opposite of you. I'll stay backstage forever. Stage is not for me. It's terrifying. And I like film because it doesn't feel the same. You don't feel as if you're on stage in the same way. But when you go on stage and you have to deliver real time for people to basically judge your performance, it's a difficult thing to do. And I know any foolishness I say here, you're going to edit it out. So there's a comfort level here.
Okay, understood. Because you said, you can't get to the stage. Do you hear your own resume? Are you talking about being nervous on the stage?
You realize that it's all backstage work?
So what would be your advice to somebody who they're in that field of performing, but they still have that anxiety? How do you help them cope with it?
Become a Sasha Fierce, or have a, you create an alter ego. You create something that does not have that fear. You have to, we're all performing roles, yeah? So you play a role that can go on the stage, you believe it, you work it, and you perform that role to the best of ability. And then you come off stage and you go back to not being around people if you don't want to be around people. So that's how I
create a
recommend.
persona.
You're human again.
Yeah, human again.
Show light, shut off.
Yeah.
Dr. Samaj, you have spoken in front of countless boards and offices and dignitaries. Do you get nervous?
No, I understand it from both sides. So from my personal standpoint, people don't understand I'm an introvert.
Same.
Right? I'm an INTJ, as introvert as they come. My being alone, being by myself is my natural environment, right? But when people see me doing extroverted thing, that's a performance. I don't take it personal. Yeah, it's a character. I've created that character. You know, the contrast. I'm speaking to a massive group or whatever, and somebody wants to talk to me after the presentation. Ideally, the extrovert want to stay there and talk to everybody. No, I want to go through the back door and disappear.
Yeah.
That's the hard part now, the one-on-ones and so on and thing, because I have to find everything. But it's a performance.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, if we just talk about people performing, two factors here. One, public speaking is on the short list of #1 stressors for human beings. So public singing, public dancing, any kind of public performance is on the top list of stressors. People don't do that naturally unless something is wired indirectly. Yeah? I've seen young people, performance is great. Yeah? And they practice. And on the day of the show, when the curtain opens,
Freeze.
because they practice the show, but they didn't practice the performance.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing when you open and they just stood there, blank. Now, some artists get proper preparation, others figure it out, as said. It's a persona, it's another. And many times, there are a number of our artists, people would know that they're two different people. Who you see on stage versus who you... I remember once I was interviewing Lady Saw on my radio show. And she came, and the first thing she did, she apologized for the way she was dressed, because she's coming straight from the gym and she had on a sweatsuit. And I shouldn't be coming to interview in a sweatsuit. I should have gone home, but I was running late. People don't understand Marian Hall.
Completely separate.
And the problem we get into is when these personas, artists create a persona. It's very useful, but sometimes they become the persona. And that's a whole different thing. So learning how, hopefully, management and the process by which you acquired your art, you will start to learn how to move between those spaces. Because we all have personas.
Yes, we do.
There's the person you are at home, the person you are at work, person you are, but there are times when people try to be this one, you run into
Everything
problems.
to everyone.
You can't do that.
Trisha, we spoke about you, international yoga superstar. Well, you're still performing. But you may not be singing, may not be acting, but you're still performing because your job involves you reaching into people and really bringing things out. Do you ever get nervous when you're about to teach a class for the first time?
All the time.
Tell us what your nervousness is like.
But only initially, generally, because once I begin, once I am tuned into who I'm working with, and I'm seeing them and I'm working with their energy, then there's a deflection that happens, so I don't have to think about myself on stage, so to speak. When you spoke about the kids coming on stage and then totally freezing when the curtains open, I have a horrific experience, which I probably shouldn't share on TV.
Well, you have to share it now.
I know, since we're all friends and family here. And so some years ago, somebody talked me into doing a TV program. And I was supposed to, it was like one of these church services for something. I can't even remember. I think it was like the Paralympians or something. And somebody just thought, you know, you look like you'll be great on TV. Why would I listen to that? Only God is to tell. But I thought, sure, let's try it. And there I was, dressed, ready to go, feeling good about myself. And then when they said, we're live, nothing.
You were dead.
Nothing. My whole family was watching. Nothing. And so I remember that experience for a long time. But the thing that I realize now is it really does depend on what it is that I'm doing. And so once it is that I'm doing something that is in my wheelhouse, my area of expertise, or something that I can work out how I'm translating my area of expertise into that particular thing, then no problem. I'm with you. I won't have a heart attack. But other than that, we can't be too sure.
I'll give you an example. There's a person, he's still on radio, I won't call his name. He said when he was first being trained at JBC, about 3 months of training before he was allowed to give a time signal on the air. So there he was, his first time now, and the person cued him, and he remembered to open the mic, but forgot to open his mouth. All he had to give the time signal, because the fear that came over him when that red light came on, you know, so it can happen at every level.
Agreed.
Talking about anxiety, performance anxiety, would you say it's linked to insecurity as well?
Not necessarily, because, look, we are social animals, we want to be accepted and so on, and public speaking, public performance is not natural or normal for most people. Now, artists, performers develop techniques for overcompensating. In the Jamaican space, what do you think when the artists feel themselves flagging? There's some code words they use.
Wheel.
Huh? Who no love? Who no beard for man? So you go to these kind of places that you will get a response and they'll give some reaffirmation. But the other things, other people know to just pick a face in the audience that's giving you good feedback. And you keep going back to that face and so on.
I would go so far as to say that that's possibly why so many artists walk with an entourage as well. Because even if the entire space full of 100,000 people,
My crew
your
good.
crew, they're right, they saw them on the
hype
side,
you.
and them a hype you up, and them a give you a kind of vibe that say, I'm all right, because them people they like, man, them better smile, and them now come on the next session with you, them now come on the next dance with you, them now come on the next performance with you.
Tanya, do you agree with that?
You don't need an entourage.
I don't have an entourage. I'm allergic to that too. I prefer to keep a very, very small company. But I know, I guess everybody has their own experiences, but over time, because I grew up in front of the audience, I started when I was a teenager, and that's where I actually gained my confidence. I think maybe that's why it's different for me, because I feel at home, especially if it's my show. If it's Tanya in concert, then I know that these people never be able to put on in good clothes and come out here so because they don't like me. You know, the likelihood of them not like me is slim. And if there's somebody in there who came to heckle, they're outnumbered by so many that may never care. So these are my family, my tribe. So I'm comforted by that. And also, when it comes to singling out one person in the audience, it's usually the one heckler I single out. And then I just rub them out.
You're a bad guy.
And that becomes a part of the show.
Wow. That's one strategy.
We're going to take a very quick break, and then we're coming back talking about mental health in the spotlight. And when we come back, I want us to speak about coping techniques, the tips and tricks we can give to upcomers, just to say how you can get through the stage fright. All right? We'll be right back.
Greetings, this is Iwara, and this is your welcome to Me Hungry, so that you will come to Me Hungry. Me Hungry is a raw food restaurant, a stoveless kitchen. We do all our dishes as raw food items, specializing in vegan live food, no flour, no sugar, no water added, without the use of fire. The range at Me Hungry is very wide. What persons appreciate love here is that for persons who are making the transition, the menu items carry a format that they can relate to. So the response is generally that they can't believe that this is raw. That's one of the very first thing you hear, you know. When it comes to the influence of reggae, the culture, and Me Hungry Wholesome Food, I don't think there's a better connection. It goes deep. First of all, the name Me Hungry Wholesome Food Limited came out of a conversation with me and Sly Dunbar. And we were there and him look at me and him said, boy, pie man, me hungry, you know. And I say, I got wholesome food, and him say, yeah. And that's really how the name came about. He said, Me Hungry, and I said to him, say, I got wholesome food. So we named the restaurant Me Hungry Wholesome Food. So that came from a conversation with Sly. The food that was delivered influenced the session. Sly doing a hemp seed shake, Rory ordering green juice, Red Rose's favorite was the So Real. It went to a point where Sly actually did a full album, right, with the menu items of Me Hungry. So the influence and the vibrancy that you see within our food item is the same kind of vibrancy where you're hearing at the drumming when you see Sly late, you know. We are at Me Hungry Wholesome Food. This is a taste of reggae.
Welcome back. This is Reggae Open University, part of JaRIA's Reggae Month celebrations for 2025. And we're here with my distinguished panel. We're speaking about mental health in the spotlight. Now, I wanted to get back, I'll start with Tanya. Tips and tricks or coping mechanisms that you have applied to yourself when you were nervous, because you say you don't get nervous anymore. But
I didn't have any tips or tricks. I was just very nervous. The first time I performed in the corporate area was Cactus nightclub over in Portmore. And I remember being on stage looking down at, it looked like a sea of people in a cactus. And I get so nervous, my mouth got dry and my tongue stuck to the roof of my mouth. And the band start the rhythm. I have good rehearsal and everything, you know. And the band start up the rhythm and roll out and brrr, drum roll and then me just stand up there like, with the tongue. And I say, oh my God, say something, sing something, sing something, sing. And them go back around with the intro. I do this. So in my mind, I psych up myself. I say, you have to say something. Please, me I beg you, do just sing. One slur, anything, sing something. And then I start thinking how ridiculous me look. And I start laugh after myself. When I go son, and open my mouth, me when my tongue pull off of the roof. And that just made the whole thing so comical. And then me much more, I think my sense of humor is far greater than my nervousness or fear of anything. So when me start laugh after myself,
that's it.
That was it.
Michael?
Okay, so, all right, so I do performance coaching, right, for singers as well as for speakers and so on. And one of the things that I do is I become the audience and I ensure that they are 100% prepared. They are performing as they would perform if 100 people were there or 1,000 people were there. And so every single aspect of it, what are you going to say, and how you're gonna turn. So I make sure that they rehearse everything down to the T, so that they can always draw for the body memory, the muscle memory. Mm-hmm. Even if the fright comes along, you just do what you've been trained to do. You've been trained to turn this way and stuff like that. And then after that, now, when they've reached a certain level of sophistication as an artist or a performer, then you can always say, all right, drop that. No, you're comfortable with an audience. Do this, do that, and just relax and perform. But until then, you get them to make it almost mechanical.
Yeah, there are two competing theories in psychology of how fear. One says that you run because you're afraid. The other says you're afraid because you run. Is that your body start running, so therefore you now believe, well, I must be afraid, right? So when you tighten the performance, what I usually advise people in terms of one, don't hold the mic in your hand. Don't hold, if you're speaking, don't hold your notes in your hand. Because if you hold your notes in your hand and the paper starts shaking, you're going to say, I'm afraid, I'm nervous.
Okay.
So that by having you don't have that feedback coming to you. Or, you know, also you you transform the emotions as such. So, for example, occasionally, I have something to do at some place, and just before I just feel a little anxiety coming on, I tell myself, that's great. That's the adrenaline kicking in. Oh, it's going to be a super performance. So whatever you feel, you have a explanation for it that's in your favor.
Yeah.
And by the way, this thing about mental, I transpose the word mental to cognitive, emotional. Emotional health, it's your emotional health. That's a more neutral term. Mental sound like mad people.
And that's how
Yeah.
I think culturally we
Exactly. But when you say emotional, guess what?
The word of stigma.
By the last analysis, we have over 34,000 different emotions. But most of us are emotionally illiterate. We depend on the writers and the singers to explain it for us, so that when Greg would say, you know, she's not in the front row, but she's a student in my class. I mean, when somebody love you like cook food, you don't know how to say things like that. But the artists say it for us and so on. So it is allowing people to work with their emotional life. And that gives you more latitude than my mental health, my mental life. It's your emotional life. If we can transpose it that way, give it,
I like that.
explain it, it makes more sense to people.
more palatable.
Easy to digest.
You're
Yes.
hoping.
Well, I would say two main things. One is to visualize what it is that, so if you're going to be performing in front of, 200 people at this particular venue, and visualize the whole thing. Take your time, sit, visualize it. And it would be helpful if you did that more than once, whether, leading up to it and literally before or as soon to going on stage as you can. And so you're going to see yourself doing everything, including having a rotted performance, right? Everything going well, everything going smoothly. In addition to that, I would say move your body. Literally shake your body. One of the things that the animal kingdom teaches us, right? Anytime, any animal is faced with a threat or them have a little showdown or whatever it is that happens, if we watch them afterwards, they tend to shake. They shake, they yawn, they stretch, they release energy. And so the more nervous you are, it's helpful to release some of that energy. And so I definitely, recommend you can tap the heels, shake the hands, jump, make noise, whatever it is, to release some of that energy. And so those are two things that I think people can manage to do. And especially if you have a great sense of humor, you make some funny noise and do some foolishness, then it also lightens, the doom feeling that you might be having coming on. So those would be my two most accessible tips.
There are many persons who suffer with lack of confidence, even if they're trying to be performers. Sometimes even self-sabotage, they don't think they're good enough, but they must try a thing, which is a phrase I think we hear a lot in our entertainment system, entertainment field. Boy, must try a thing, must try working in the music business. How would somebody address self-confidence or lack thereof? I mean, it's easier to say than to do, but how would you guys recommend somebody tackle almost chronic lack of self-confidence?
All right. So for me, so when I think of mental health issues, I'm generally thinking about kind of sustained, internalized system of disempowerment that we have inflicted on ourselves, or somebody inflicted on us, and we've carried it through for a long period, right? So that that type of disempowerment, any kind of disempowerment over a period of time will affect your self-confidence. And so we have these 3 rules of empowerment that we call it at ASHE. And the first one is, what I think about myself is of much greater importance than what anybody else says or thinks about me. That's the first one. The second one is, the work is in and upon the self. And the third one is, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So the first one is the most important one. What I think about myself is of much greater importance than what anyone else says or thinks about me. Because if somebody's saying something bad about you, you don't have to agree with it. You can find a way to think a more positive thought than what they're sharing with you. And the second one is about that responsibility. You have to take responsibility for your empowerment. You have to take responsibility for yourself, and don't just think that it's something that's just gonna come and eventually you'll be confident. If you're lacking in confidence and you go on stage, that's where it shows up. It will show up more. It's not that you're gonna be on stage and know that you're on stage with the flashing lights, then confidence grows. No, that's where it shows. That's where the lack of confidence shows. And so you just have to keep working on yourself and doing unto people as you'd like them to do unto you, because what you send out there in the world is what comes back at you.
Tanya?
With confidence. I don't know. I feel like different things work for different people, so I really don't. I leave the coaching to the professionals and don't try, because something that worked for me might not work for somebody else, and I might really be messing them up bad. You know, when people come and ask me for advice, I usually try to direct them to a professional, because in my attempt to help, I might really, really mess up I might make them even worse. But work on the craft. I think if you begin by being good at what you do, then you have more reason to be confident. If you're not good, you're just not good. You're just not good. And it's a hard thing for some people to admit, especially when you have the little sycophant, them, the Charlie. You have people around you who, wicked people, call themselves friend and family, who tell you, say, you have this talent where you do not have. And it's okay to not have it. And it's okay to be, you know, like if you say you love music or you love acting, but you can't sing or you can't act. There are so many different careers within the field where you can go do that, and maybe your confidence there over there. So maybe you're not going to get the confidence on stage.
Yeah.
But probably you'll be the baddest cameraman.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be the wickedest editor, colorist. Probably you need to go study law and come help out the idiot them over in my side. Because, you know, when me always need legal representation.
To not be okay at some.
But you're taking my life story in a sense, because if you had to leave it up to me, I'd be the biggest singer in the world. But my voice not reached that song. My voice is
Almost.
all right, dancer, you know, I'll be the baddest dancer in the world. But my dancing, it's not really. So I can kind of act, but I can definitely write. So what happened is, over a period of time, because I could be, call it, confident enough to say, all right, I'm not strongest in that, so I move, until eventually I said, oh, my space is behind the scenes. I can direct, I can write, I can do this. But it takes a certain level of confidence to shift as well.
And honest people.
And honesty and humility.
And then also know that we need to stop push this narrative of big job and make people know, say, every single job big. You just have to go in there and do the job in a big way.
Yeah.
There is no little job. There are some very small artists, and there are some really big producers. There are some very, very small actors, and there are some really big writers, big screen editors. There are so many jobs in every field. Just find the one where you click with and do it, and please stop burdening with ears with things when are nice. We don't want you to get no confidence and do this foolishness. And every confidence to build some confidence to just get a little and just go one side, go lie down, and just whatever the puppy them do when them know how we see when them go over there. So with that, yes, that too.
There's an important book by Irving Goffman called Behavior in Public Spaces, that all of us have on-stage behavior and backstage behavior. One of the problems with some of our artists, too many backstage behavior has been put on stage. All of us grew up. You hear it, somebody knock at the gate, you peep to see is who. And if it's certain people, you have to go put on something first, and put on your wig first. Draw on a dress.
Does it get confident?
It's all good, don't it?
Right? So that the whole thing, so who you are is very different from what you present publicly. in life. That's reality. So the whole notion of a performance. If you make sure you tell yourself, say quote unquote, you're nervous and your thing. No, what you're doing out there, up there, on there, that's something else. That's not you. You can be anything you want, but once you go, okay, as he said, as the performer, what you're gonna do, that's another person, another side of you. So the idea of it's a performance. You plan for the performance. When the show done, again, Junior Gong, Affairs of the Heart, when show life, show spotlight lock off, promoter, and I'm mere mortal again. That's the reality. Some people want to be on stage 24 hours a day.
Always on.
That will mash you up. But when the show and if you notice even that song again, you're now with somebody who knows you. You know, this big problem with artists and so on. Is it you, the person love, or is it Elvis? Is it Elvis they love? Is it and that's why again in artist's personal life, what the people around you call you. If they only call you by your stage name and they don't know
Ding, 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 ding.
who you are, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And if all you have around you are people who only know you on stage, that's why when you look at the artists, the performers and so on, who have a wife or a husband who knew them from primary school days and before them name change and so on, it's a different thing altogether.
Grounded. They're
Very grounded because that person will insist that they stay grounded. Hey, hello, man, you're fan, you know. Don't bring them things at the house, all right?
Yeah, take off your shoe before you come in.
Yeah, man, you're fan.
All right. We're going to take a break. And when we get back, I want to start with Trishan. We're going to talk about stress and burnout. I'd love if you could share some personal anecdotes, but we're going to talk about dealing with it and how it relates to your mental health. So we'll be right back.
My name is Alfred Ibilian Brissett. Welcome to Veggie Meals and Wheels, the No Bone Zone. It's an oasis in Crossroads. Crossroads is where uptown meet downtown. The good thing about Veggie Meals and Wheels, if you are in your office under the AC, you just want to come out and relax under the beautiful canopy of the beautiful skies and trees, Veggie Meals and Wheels is a place to be. For good idle food, good food equal good mood. I am really appreciative of the farmers here in Jamaica because I think more vegetables is being grown and can utilize in a meal. Our menu have evolved over the years based on our customer review and because, as you know, customer come first. So now we're sticking closer to the natural foods like fruits and vegetables we incorporate in the food. Not too much processed food. Every day we have a different stew. Alternative to rice, which is bulgur, couscous or quinoa. And also, don't forget, ground food is what we have here a lot in Jamaica. Yam, Irish, sweet potato. So with all that infused in one dish, you actually get a balanced meal. If you come to Veggie Meals and Wheels, you will definitely get a taste of reggae because the chef is cooking the food, listening to reggae music each and every day. And I believe that food and music share the same stage. When you step inside Veggie Meals and Wheels, on any given day, you can come and meet the likes of Chronix, Protege, Leela Ike, even Tony Rebel. We actually do shows as well. So like recently we have Rebel Salute, you have Protege have a show coming up. The 14 parishes of Jamaica, we travel around as Veggie Meals on Wheels, and we do show and catering. And of course, sometimes you might say vegan food is actually boring and stuff, but the good thing is that this is the joint that meat eaters love to come and have their meals, because how the meal is prepared, if you actually be traditionally eating meat, you won't miss it, because the flavors, the sauce, and the taste is just like how your grandmother used to cook your Sunday dinner. You're here all in a high-tal vibes with Ibi Lion at Veggie Meals and Wheels in No Bone Zone, and it's a taste of reggae here each and every day.
Welcome back to Reggae Open University, JaRIA's Reggae Month celebrations. We're having a discussion about mental health in the spotlight, and my wonderful panel, we're going to get back into the discussion. Trishan, I want to talk about stress and burnout. Now, yoga, universally known as, this is how I make myself better. So
Right.
they kind of meet you after the burnout, or when they realize the
Pop
burnout.
down already.
So, coming from your field, what's the worst you've seen in terms of burnout and stress in someone?
I mean, I think the worst I've seen is actually a lot more common than you might think. The worst, when you're really burnt out, the worst thing that happens is that you're disconnected from the real things in your life. So you're dysregulated, and you're not really able to engage, in your relationships with your children and your partner and your friendships in the way that you're, meant to. You're not engaging in things that bring you joy. You actually sort of lose your ability to gauge where you are, right? And to really access, this is how I'm feeling, this is how my body's doing, this is how I am. And I think that artists especially, or those in entertainment, are particularly vulnerable to this, because the schedules are not, it's not like a 9 to 5 and you done work and you go home. There's like a constant, you're performing in night and sleeping. There's like it's a different kind of schedule that really lends itself to, and you have, especially if you have seasons, right, where you're just on, like a Christmas time, and you're just on. And if you don't have built into your life a way of coming back to a calm body and a calm mind, then you begin to think that this is how it's okay to be until you're sick or until something major happens. But the burnout starts long before you're actually ill, long before that. The burnout begins when you are no longer able to feel embodied, and no longer able to know how I'm feeling and how I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. You have to be able to check in with yourself daily and know, how a lot of people wake up anxious and they just take it out, and then they have coffee on top of it. But I don't want the coffee people stone me, right? And then you just go. You just go. And I'm saying, you have to start the day. Don't make the day start you. You have to step into the day rather than the day run you down. And so if you live like that, then burnout becomes a way of living, and then you get to the sick and the pop down and the problems that people think that's where the burnout has happened. But it's
Actually starts from
yes,
before.
it's really about a lifestyle that cultivates deep listening to yourself and befriending yourself, having a calm body, calm mind.
Doc.
Look, they say, with Marga,
Pop.
it pop. And that is real. And people sometimes just keep going until it just pop down. But if you notice that, go back to the foundation of our music as such. Somehow, our foundation artists, you associate health and fitness with them. The idea of play some football in the morning, go run on the sands first before the rehearsals. So that is the kind of thing you need in order to have a healthy mind. You have to start with a healthy body. And for example, I go to the gym 3 days a week, and the other 3 days I do a 5K, all right? So it's a total, and occasionally I'll have these 4 days, all day workshops. And I said to my wife, we train for that. But you're going all day before an audience from 9. We train for it. So the whole idea, you train for it. So when I go out there, I mean, if you didn't train for it, the resilience will not be there.
All right. So Tanya, you've been spotlight, singing, on stage, touring. What does burnout look like to you?
Well, physically the biggest burnout I ever had was coming off a tour without a voice. I mean, like, open my mouth and no sound no come out. I try talk and nothing no come out. And if you know me, then you would know that this is like death, not being able to talk. So it really stressed my mind. I ended up at the ENT specialist, and then ended up in speech therapy, learning to pronounce my vowels and stuff all over again.
Relearn.
Yeah. What? It's that bad because I was on the road. Now, it kind of hard, all right. So let me tell you, it really hard to look at an artist who's coming from, me come out of one room. Me come out of extreme poverty, one room. And spend some years trying with music, not making no money, and then start to earn. It's hard to tell me to regulate my schedule, and me not turn down no show, you mad? Me not try to work in a one room. Me take every show, so me one festival and drive hours, go close the next one, because me not refuse no show at all. And that's how I come home without a voice. Me can't tell another artist, say, don't do that. Me can't realistically tell them that. Am I going to subsidize them economy? No. And when me up on the road, me I work off of economics alone. So it means, say, the tour bus of me in go be spam me money. So it might not be completely comfortable. One time I go crawl up in one crawl space and go sleep. And when I wake up, back, half of me frozen, me have to beg the bad man them draw me down because my bus cheap. I don't have that kind of budget. So we fit ourselves in the life what we can afford, right? And it means burnout. First for we might be physical, because quite literally, physically we're out there every night. You come off stage, pack up your backline in a bus, jump in the bus, drive. By the time you get to somewhere else, you go backstage, bathe, go up on stage, sing, jump back in the bus, and it's very. Artists try to make it sound glamorous and try to make people bad mind them because we sing about bad mind so much. But a hard work, a really hard work. So burnout, physical, and it means missing my daughter first step, missing graduation, missing birthday, missing everything was important in my life because I have to pay for it. And we used to have that conversation, which one I prefer, I come or I pay for it. And she always picked pay for it. So you miss everything, and that is another kind of burnout too, because when I sit down on the road somewhere by myself in a moment, I ball because I want to go me yard. But I can't go me yard because I know I wait me yard. I don't have an option. I don't have a whole heap of options. So this is my way of getting out of poverty, of empowering myself and my family, of ensuring that we have food to eat. So the physical burnout, every artist at some point get that. Happy.
Well, that sounds like survival mode equals the burnout.
Yeah, automatically you end up in a burnout. So then we end up back with them guys if we try to build way back. Thank you.
Are we overcompensating by putting ourselves in survival mode all the time?
This is it. You have to
That is
rest.
the thing. That is the thing.
It's one thing to be like that at the beginning of your career for some years, but you have the understanding that it's not a way to be. It's not sustainable for the whole time till me dead.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can, when you can afford it, you will change it.
Over
But until
time,
then,
you learn what works for you. Like, for example, again, in my world, when there are times when I'm on tour, so to speak, because if you're working in this island, you're working in this country, you're away from your home and you're doing like 5 days straight, 6 days straight. Like when I say, for example, I'm doing a weekend retreat for a company. And so we're there from Thursday all the way through Sunday. And I warn them, first of all, I say, being an introvert, you see, when I'm finished with you at 5 o'clock,
Leave me alone.
you're not seeing me again until tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
Same.
Because, but we're going for dinner, we're going later.
Same,
No.
we're not afraid.
I am going to have dinner by room service. I don't want to see nobody because I know I need to
Calm down.
I need to get back my energy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you drew, my energy went to keep that place afloat all day. as an artist, you're on stage, you're driving. It's about energy. It's all energy. But how do you get it back?
Yeah.
So that if you don't know how to get back your energy, I know I need to just go in, lock the door.
Yeah.
Room service, have my,
Yeah.
or
And it's
have a
that
nice
energy
bottle of
thing.
wine and just chill and just.
Right.
Huh?
And overstimulation is
No.
real.
And
Most
early
people-
morning, I'm on the
Yeah.
beach, walking back and forth. And,
And hope
Yeah.
nobody not see you.
yes. So
Yeah.
Come and talk to me while I'm walking.
Oh my God.
And extroverts get the energy when they're out there with
Yeah.
people, and they spend the energy when they're by themselves. Introverts like myself and Samaj here would get energy being by yourself, and then when you go out there, you're spending the
Expending.
energy. So eventually it's going to run out. For me, the burnout and stress, well, it shows up in my hair. My hair just always say, Michael, it's the stress time again, right? Right? You have too much ashes in your head. But I think it's a thin line between professionalism and that ability to say no and create boundaries. If you can't say no and you can't create boundaries,
Problems.
because sometimes the stress and the thing is not necessarily coming out just from the performance or from the work. It's from not being able to say, no, I'm an introvert, I can't do the talking for 3 hours after I've finished working. That's a boundary. You create those boundaries and it makes a difference. I can do this part of the show, I cannot do that
This
part of the
part,
show because
yeah.
by that time,
You're done.
so, and then no, you don't want to say no, and people start associate you with being an artist or a creative or a director or whatever who temperamental and so
Hard
on,
to work
and
with.
you're hard to work with. But so you have to just draw the line that this is my professional stance, this is where and this is how I operate, and you either like it or you don't like it, But that's a boundary, not crossing.
And if artists, if you have a management team, and the managers
Right.
know how to put those things and provide you with the boundaries and say, no, you can't speak to her now.
Yeah.
She's on, and even she forget and she's out there, just come and pull her aside.
Yeah.
Remember, say you have to leave now.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. With management, that's what management is about.
Absolutely.
And as far as
And if you
coping,
don't have management, it's what knowing
It's on you,
yourself.
knowing-
right?
yes.
You have to know yourself. You have to spend a little time and be able to check in and say, well, when I did this, I felt like crap after, and
Yeah.
I need to. What can I readjust reasonably?
And having the courage, because I call these the 3 tools of empowerment, which is clarity, responsibility, and courage. And clarity, you have to know yourself, which is what you're basically saying. Know yourself, knowing how you choose to operate and how you operate best, and taking responsibility for that. Don't leave it into anybody else's hands. So if you need a manager to do it for you, hire a manager and pay them because you need that peace of mind. So it's the clarity, it's the responsibility, and then the courage to just say no. I can't deal with that. The courage,
The word no.
No, that's a boundary. As I was telling you earlier, I think when my phone ring, I look at my phone like this and I'm just like, oh, this person don't know me. Why them calling me? Don't call me. Text me, and then you text me and say, Michael, I'm gonna call you now. Is that okay? And I'll say yes, because that's a boundary for me. Because phone calls trigger me. I feel, and even when I have to do it for work. So if my registrar or my principal calls me, I pick up the phone and answer. Because it's work, it's professional. But if my friends are calling me at 9 o'clock in the night or 10, no, that's my boundary. So you have to know what will lead
sensitive.
to your burnout, what will lead to your stress, what will
Absolutely.
lead to your hair falling out.
we're gonna
We're back to the hair.
Yeah, because I'm going to deal with it. Let's work with it, I'm going to deal with it.
we're gonna wrap up. But before we do, I'd like an individual piece of advice from each of you to not just artists and entertainers, but because there are people who are not in entertainment who are going to be watching this, who they might have their own personal things they're dealing with, but they look up to you all. So your advice might probably hit them a little bit better than somebody else. So I'm going to start with Trishan. One piece of advice for somebody who is dealing with anxiety in the workplace, on stage, in their job, entertainment or otherwise.
Investing having a calm body. Right? That looks different for different people, and since the show I done, I can't go into the whole detail, but spend the time finding the practices, whether that's some breath work for you, but begin with the body, and then get help. Always
As in,
get
don't
help.
be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, whether it's asking for help or paying for help, but make it a priority. It doesn't have to be forever. So begin with the body and having a calm body. That may look like what you're eating, resting well, ensuring that you are doing some, whether breathing practices for some people or guided awareness. YouTube University is your friend in that regard, right? If that's what you have. And then the next thing I would say is get help from people who do this all day.
Thank you. Doc?
Two things. One, one of my favorite expressions, tell people that, listen, if you don't take care of your body, where you going to live?
I like that.
The last time I checked, I mean, you know.
This is your house.
It's yeah. So therefore, that's first. And what you metabolize transforms you. So meaning what you eat, what you drink, the fuel you put into the body. And that exercise, I mean, is imperative. And life is about cycles. You have sunrise and you have sunset. You have on stage, you have backstage, right? You have start, you have end. It can't all be going. If you try to do that, what's going to happen? One day it's going to just pop down.
Yep.
So the whole
Anyway,
notion.
Margaret Pop.
Anyway, Margaret Pop. So there must be balance. Sometimes you can naturally find the balance in your life, or you make sure you have to have people around you who help to recenter you. Family can do it for you, management can do it for you, but if you notice that the artists, the performers who have balance in their life tend to last longer. Because that you not just go. Somebody will pull you back and say, no, you need some time for yourself now.
Thank you. Tanya?
Yeah, as far as maintaining your mental health or emotional health, I like that
Emotional
better.
health,
I like that much better, to be honest with you, because I don't like the mental stigma.
Yeah.
For the artists, well, I would say try to maintain a grip on reality as far as the fact that this is a job. No matter how glamorous it look, no matter how many people scream at the concert and no matter how much they pay you, it's still a job. And you're only as valid as the audience accept you. So when the audience goes, so does the job. And too many of us end up, I think, losing a grip on reality when we realize that it's slipping away, and enough or people from our industry end up going over the deep end because they can't handle the fact that they're no longer in the spotlight. The same kind of madness exists in the audience too, because people have problem understanding the difference in spaces, that this is a show, that is a performer, that is not my actual friend from my real life. I don't know them. You know, and this is it's a person, a complete person, separate and apart from me. Even though I like the song and I like some things that they say, I don't like everything, but I don't have to, and they don't need me to. Compartmentalize. When it comes to social spaces, understand you don't belong in everything and everything is not you. And then when it's time to go home, just go home. Go home, learn to turn it off. I'm Tanya Sins, unlike some other artists, I don't have an alter ego, but I do have spaces that people, I'm not secretive, but I'm very private. I don't want nobody from the public in any private space of mine. I guard that like violently. I don't want me don't want nobody accost me about anything that they think they have a franchise in, because me sell music, me not sell parts of me. I've never sold any part of me. I'm 100% in control of from head, the longest strand of the wig to the tallest toenail when I clip it.
You're here, you buy it.
I'm mine.
There we
It's
go.
mine. And that should have keep all of us safe from falling out of emotional balance.
Okay. Michael?
So surround yourself with the right persons. I like to think of it as a soul vibe tribe. You surround yourself with people who are reflecting good things back at you and helping you to grow and develop yourself. A lot of artists, your fans and your entourage kind of become your main audience, but that's not your main audience, really, when you're talking about your holistic health and your life and your longevity. They've recently found out that you live 8 years longer when you have a good circle of friends around you. So if you're an artist, your entourage and your fan, that's the lowest totem pole for your audience, your primary audience. At the top, you have a mentor, you have a coach, you have an accountability partner, then you have your friends, and then you have the entourage and the fans. And so accordingly, your mentor will be able to, your mentor has been there and can show you how to survive being there. Your coach might not have been there, but your coach can push you and say, yeah, this is how you get there. Your accountability partner, or fellow artists like you who are on that journey, conversations with them will help you. And then your friends will keep you grounded and balanced, you know. And then, you know, so every time an audience, one of your entourage or your fans says something to you that's not the time to go into a tailspin and a mental breakdown because, you know, them think this of me and so on. That's not your real primary audience. And when you have that kind of balance and grounding, things get better.
So thank you to my wonderful panel. This has been another episode of the Reggae Open University, part of JaRIA's Reggae Month celebrations for 2025. We were talking about mental health in the spotlight. Thank you so much, and join us for more inside Reggae Month.
My name is Naomi Morris, the General Manager of Creation Foods Limited. Creation Foods Limited is a health food company. We manufacture products such as 7-grain cereals, healthy foods such as Mega Punch, peanut porridge mix, and lots of products created from nuts, seeds, and grains. Our motto says, adding fiber to your diet. And our name suggests we produce products as close to creation as possible. When I think of reggae, there are 3 words that comes to mind. Authentic, original, and those 2 are very unique. And there's another one, which is natural. And I think of that with reggae, and I also would agree that Creation Foods products are also authentic, original, and they are unique because they are created from products that are as close to creation as possible. Together, there is a combination between music, the originality of music, and also the originality of food. So we have the cereal line. As Jamaicans, we call it the porridge line, which include peanuts, plantain, almond porridge, 7-grain cereal, original, and coconut. We have the smoothie line, which is the Mega Punch, and the Ready Mega vanilla and chocolate flavors. We also produce products such as the whole wheat flour. We also have a cassava flour. We have the textured vegetable protein line, and we have a numerous line of other products that are natural and good for you. Hi, this is Naomi Morris from Creation Foods, and this is a taste of reggae.